Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's definitely a trust gap between taxpayers and the IRS, and the IRS's information technology systems are a great example of why. The IRS has an urgent need to overhaul its IT systems, some of which date back to the Kennedy administration, but repeated mistakes, both big and small, undermine our trust in them. Take the $12 million they spent on a new email system they couldn't use. The Inspector General report revealed the IRS bought it, quote, without first determining project and infrastructure needs, integration requirements, business requirements, and whether the subscriptions were technologically even feasible. Or take the Return Review Program, or the RRP. The new fraud detection program came in years behind schedule and hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. Here are just a few of the reasons the IRS cited when it put the RRP into a strategic pause in 2014. They said it was to determine the priority and direction from IRS senior leadership. They said to articulate and align on RRP's role in the broader business vision. They also said to ensure clear and concise understanding of scope, cost, and schedule with contractors. And finally, budgetary constraints. It's clear that unforced errors are turning vital projects into boondoggles. We could be applauding the IRS right now for buying a system off the shelf. Instead, we're scolding them for not asking the most basic questions before buying it. I hear complaints about the IRS's budget, and I think about that RRP. Senior leadership gave no direction, no one knew how to fit it into the big picture, and contractors were totally out of the loop. Everyone essentially ran in circles until they ran out of money. You know what? Here's what we do know. More money cannot fix failed leadership or a broken culture. Better guidelines, codified rules, and more intentional strategic planning can. That's why last Congress I introduced H.R. 5362, the IRS Information Technology Accountability Act, and I was happy to see the critical work being built on in this Congress with the introduction and markup of the Taxpayer First Act. I truly believe if we do instill more accountability, better contracting practices, and better strategic planning, the IRS really can get on the right path. At the end of the day, this will greatly benefit the American taxpayer and ensure that the IRS is working for them in an effective way. I'm proud that we're taking important bipartisan steps to close the IRS's trust gap. I urge my colleagues to support H.R. 1957, the Taxpayer First Act. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady.